G'day, hobbyists. Anthony from AOS Coach here, bringing you the next episode of Down Under Sigmar, and I feel like a celebration moment that we got to episode 2. Liam, how are we feeling? Episode 2, people are actually listening to us still.
Feels quite weird. Like, it's awesome how much feedback we got already, so I'm super happy that we're at episode 2 already, and yeah, I've been looking forward to it ever since the first one. It's been great. Good feeling, and it's kind of weird, but yeah, it's episode 2. It's good.
Episode 2, we'll kind of reflect on this moment and we'll see how far we've grown on this journey. And speaking of journeys, that actually might be a nice transition into some people who did have a journey. We have some guests. Who are our guests this week? Well, let's start with the Goon Master himself.
Yeah, Goon Master.
Yeah, boy. Seth Cook, coming to you live from Fielding, New Zealand, also known as the Goon Boss. I'm here hanging out with my man Dan, the Warhammer hero.
Hey guys.
And the lads here from Down Under Sigmar.
I feel like there's a drum roll moment here. I don't know, Seth, how do we introduce our very own first Warhammer hero?
He's ours, mate. You're in a different country. He's ours.
But aren't you not New Zealander? But technically, it's just his own.
What I find interesting is we've got a show here to talk about the New Zealand scene and our trip across to CanCon and Team New Zealand. And the representatives that we have picked forward is an Englishman and an American.
And what else is Fraser?
Is Fraser a Kiwi? So Fraser was meant to be on, but he's got like some 1 megapixel camera. So I think we're trying to maybe go to JB Hi-Fi and get another one or something. So, but is he Kiwi, or are we actually got no Kiwis in the Kiwi show?
No,
there are no Kiwis currently, but Fraser is a Kiwi, yes.
All right, so
love it.
Drum roll. Australia, just like the Pavlova, just like Russell Crowe, just like everything good coming out of New Zealand, we claim for ourselves Australia's own Dan Short Shorts, Mr. Warhammer hero himself. Say hello, friend.
Cheers, guys. Thank you very much. All too kind. I still think it's completely ridiculous that people chose to nominate me. Not exactly out here raising tons of money for child cancer societies or anything like that. I'm just a guy with a website and an opinion. But thank you very much to everybody that did nominate me. And yeah, we'll see where we go.
Amazing. So for anyone who hasn't been on the internet in the last couple of days, Dan AOS Shorts runs an amazing website that adds so much value to us all. Has got some stuff coming up pretty soon, some sexy new books, but has been recently nominated as a Warhammer hero for all of the amazing stuff. What have you got? What was that?
What was that? Sorry, I didn't see that.
That was Skaven. That's Fleshy Decors.
Oh, look at this guy.
So in this episode, we are going to open up those books and we're going to show them off.
No, we're not Katetsu.
Hi, I'm Katetsu, and welcome to my channel. In this episode, we will...
I like Katetsu. I don't mind
he sounds too much like the guys that my daughter watches play Fortnite, so...
He has really good cover art, and he has the most clickbait sort of AOS headlines I've ever heard of.
Oh, agreed. Like the Sinesh ones. On point. On point.
What is it? Boyle's law of newspaper headlines. If anyone asks a question, a provocative question in a headline, the answer is always no.
It's great. Look, anyone who's creating content for AOS is a hero in my opinion, but Dan the Australian is our Warhammer hero and our first of hopefully many. There are a lot of people in our community who deserve to be recognised.
Yeah, actually, noting you do have, in this latest batch, you do have 2 legitimate Australians.
No, but they're 40Kers. They're 40Kers and they're WA people. So, no. Mike and Emma do an amazing job from Objective Secured. So, good work to them as well.
Yeah.
But they're from WA, so we don't count them. You guys are closer to us than they are.
I think New Zealand's more Australia than Western Australia.
I saw the price for a flight today from Wellington to Perth, and I cringed.
I'm actually going there on Monday for work. So maybe I can go catch up with those people, find the hints and tips on how to be a Warhammer hero, and then get Clint that nomination.
Yeah, he needs one. Big time. Hard.
So why are we here? Why have we invited the Kiwis on, Liam? What should the people know?
So pretty much out of nowhere, the Kiwis decided to come join us at CanCon, and then Dan and Charles Black organized a Tasman Cup, where it was the Kiwis versus the Australians the day before CanCon, like a little warm-up, fun community bonding tournament, just one game each, which was really fun. It was just people, whoever was interested to be part of it, signed up. And then I want to hear about their experiences coming to Australia, what it was like, would you guys do it again, kind of thing. So this is pretty much why we got them here, to see like if Australia pretty much made them love Warhammer even more, is probably the best way to describe it. Is that right, Anthony?
I reckon so. And I think, there's been some early conversations about how our communities can get closer. Flights are quite cheap. You guys the Kiwis are running some really good events. And I think that coming over to CanCon was just the start. I know there's a contingency that want to come over to Sydney GT. I've heard whispers of going to Runak. So I think it'll be interesting to hear about their scene as well, as much as what they took from us, and appreciate maybe some of the unique things from our side of the fence. So I might kick off to ask the boys, why on earth did you come to CanCon? Like, why?
Yeah, why?
I think Seth needs to answer first, given he and the Wellington lads booked it all in first.
Yeah, Seth, why'd you come to us?
He might have frozen. He looks like a robot. Like,
he looks like
Okay, well, while Seth's frozen, I came because all the cool kids were going. And at this point, it was 220 in the biggest Warhammer Age of Sigmar event out there. And I'd just come back from a holiday with the family, and Air New Zealand had a flash sale, and flights were super cheap. So I just bailed on with the Wellington lads, and it was all easy and all organised for me. All I had to do was get to Sydney, and the guys took care of me. So it was very easy from that point of view. And as you're saying, flights are cheap. It's only a few $100. And the Caravel's not exactly the most expensive accommodation in the world, when shared amongst 7 or whoever we had in our 2-room cabin. But yeah, it was largely the reason why I wanted to come. Was it's the biggest Age of Sigmar event in the world. It's a chance to meet you guys, hang out with all the Australian Age of Sigmar wargamers that I know from Twitter and online, and just wanted to hang out with people. And it's one of the reasons why I got in contact with Rob and asked to do the sort of roving reporter role as opposed to playing in the event. Because if you play in the event, you're sort of nose down on a table for almost 3 hours, and you've got sort of short windows around it to hang out with people. But being roving reporter, I could barrel around all the halls and catch up with everybody, and it was great.
I reckon
this is why you're a Warhammer hero, because you flew 3 hours to play one game of Sigmar, and you just added so much value to everyone else. So you're a madman.
I gotta say, I did enjoy seeing you doing the roving report. I reckon that would be the most awesome job if you're doing a stream, just going around getting information on games. It would be awesome fun. So yeah, you did a killer job.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it was great. It's just you get to watch like the 10 top tables and see the most competitive matchups from armies across the spectrum fighting it out, and different play styles and techniques, and there's a whole range of things going on in there. But then you also get to see the crazy stories. You get to see the fact that Volgoroth is dying to clan rats. You get to see people failing 3-inch charges with their fanatics that they've snuck on the back of the board. You get to see the table 95 battle between Danny and Bront with the Free Guild, civil war on table 95. Like, you get to see all this sort of stuff.
And you get to see Sylvaneth against Sylvaneth.
Yeah, that was, I'd have to say, one of my favourite games of the weekend.
For 6 straight hours.
Yeah, That was just the first turn, hero phase.
Yeah.
So Seth, so the question was before technology rudely interrupted you, was why on earth did you come to CanCon? Why did you travel halfway across the ditch to come to us and then actually leave?
Yeah.
Like one of the few Kiwis who actually leaves.
Yeah. Actually, I had my eye on CanCon in early 2017. CanCon 2019 was a goal for me in early 2017. However, that's when I was playing Kings of War. So my goal was to go to CanCon to play Kings of War. Then I moved here. It became, obviously much more of a reality than it was when I was in the States. But no one here played Kings of War. There's like 6 people in the entire country that play the game. So I had to, if I wanted to play with my friends or make friends or play with anyone else besides myself or my 10-year-old son, I had to play a different system. So I picked up Sigmar, which I played on release for the first couple months that the game was out, and then I realized that it wasn't exactly what I wanted a game to be, so I switched over to Kings of War. But I picked up Sigmar in very early or very late 2017, or very early 2018, very late 2017, somewhere around Christmas time, New Year's. But I still, in the back of my mind, wanted to do CanCon because I was here. I was close enough, and I know it's a huge convention, and we don't have anything that big in the States. I guess Gen Con and Adepticon might be, but the competitive scene at those 2 places isn't exactly the same. That's more of like a hobby sort of gathering. Then the boys said that they wanted to go, and by the time I got on board, I was on the wait list. But James Mcpherson, I'm sure you guys met him. He was with us a bit on the weekend. He had some issues with his army, and he didn't know if he was going to be able to make it or not. So he sold me his ticket. I took his spot. He swapped with me onto the wait list, and luckily we both ended up making it. But once the boys said they wanted to go, I knew I was in because it was a goal I'd had for 2 years now almost. So it was going to happen, and it'll happen again, likely every year until I can't make it anymore. So.
No, that's great. And
I left because I couldn't find a job while I was over there, and I didn't think that I could get on the benefit quickly enough to make it. I didn't have enough spending money, so that's why I came back.
You mentioned the boys, so we obviously know Dan came over, yourself came over. Who are the boys? Let's give some shout outs to our first New Zealand contingent who flew over for CanCon AOS. So you had you two. We had
Fraser Baker, who's supposed to be in the chat right now, but is having difficulties. We had Sean Bates, who does the notorious Age of Sigmar podcast. Lee Wilmot, who is a friend of the show, the notorious Sigmar podcast show. And we had, who else do we have? Dan, did I forget someone?
There was someone else. Who was the one that you said you sold the ticket with?
It was Dan. Dan came. Me, Dan, Sean, Lee, and Fraser, and James.
And then
James sort of did his own thing. He's a bit of a lone wolf, James is, and it was cool that he was there. It was good to hang out with him. But he does his own thing quite often. So
James is to give James his due. He's doing some really great things. He did what was it last year before? Ran Call to Arms and did absolutely massive, stunning effort. I remember the guy basically scratch building 40 tables on his own in the UK and then shipping it all down to New Zealand.
Yeah, it's incredible.
It was ridiculous. James's commitment to the hobby and growing the Wellington scene is really strong. He runs works with the Freebooters Club, which runs out of Miramar, basically out of Wetter's backyard, in the cinema where Lord of the Rings launched and other such things. He's got his Twitch channel going on that's going to be launching soon too for some live streaming out of New Zealand. So James has got a lot of things going on.
That's called Freebooters TV. Is his Twitch handle.
Oh, cool.
So check that out.
Definitely, it's one of my favorite layouts that I've seen. So I know he's only done a pilot, but he's got a great layout. So we know that 5 of you traveled over. Technically, 6 had traveled over. You guys, had that as a goal. You wanted to meet the community. You wanted to kind of see the convention style. And prior to CanCon, we had a game. People may not know this, but on the Friday, we went to Jolt Games and we had the Transtasman Cup. Who wants to tell a little bit about the Transtasman Cup and how that went for them?
Dan.
I'll do that. So the Transtasman Cup, as it was introduced, it was a 5-player individual team tournament. So what I mean by that is that there were 5 players in each team and 5 games of 1-on-1 2,000-point Warhammer using the CanCon pack. So basically we were using it as a primer for CanCon for those that were going on to the event. And we played 1 game in each round. Now, because the Tasman Cup has a history in Warhammer between New Zealand and Australia that has gone back since, I think Charles tracked it back to the early 2000s. But the last 2 times that it was played before that were also won by New Zealand, spoiler. And so it was a great opportunity to revive that now for Age of Sigmar. Because it was the first year running, we weren't going super competitive with it. So we sort of weren't purporting to be truly Team New Zealand or Team Australia. For the New Zealand side of things, it was the 5 of us that were travelling over and wanted to do it. So the 5 lads that had the time and money to go. For Australia, you guys largely did it on who could banter or shitpost about the New Zealanders the best, it would seem. Or people who wanted to take the risk and infamy of playing New Zealand and losing. So
we had team New Zealand, and famously we had a team of 5, and I think only 2 actually came from New Zealand, if that's correct.
Sean and Lee.
Two.
No. Fraser and Sean.
What's
Fraser.
Lee?
Lee's English. He's as English as I am.
He's more English than you are.
Okay, right. So 2 out of 5.
So we had these 5 legends come over from New Zealand to play in the Trans-Tasman. And Liam, who was on our side? Who is the cream of Australia, the top of the top?
So cream, right. So we got the coach. Anthony was our team captain.
I didn't know I was captain, by the way. I just got told in a random post that I was captain.
You were captain, 100%. It was definitely not going to be me.
Charles told me that you nominated yourself.
No, I didn't. I learned when you guys put up the blog post and it said Captain Anthony, and I had all this stuff. Actually, it was your article. I'm like,
yeah,
what?
It was you. Okay, so we had Anthony, then we had Paul Gritzy with his Swift Hawk, which I have to say did quite well. A lot better than we expected. And then we had Sam Morgan, Hayden, and myself. So pretty much, that was the 5. And then New Zealand, you guys had, you guys list out your players again.
We had me as self-nominated captain, running Sylvaneth. We had Lee also running Sylvaneth, Winterleaf, but with Deepkin allies. We had Seth running Spiders. We had Fraser running Thricefold Befoulment. And we had Sean running Anvils of Heldenhammer. Pew pew.
Yep. And Dan, you did the matchups, if I'm correct. So I'm pretty sure you gamed this to really, because I'm looking at the chat and it says Timothy from your crew has said they sent over the B team. So it sounds like you actually matched us up to have the best advantage for the B team to win.
I was actually very happy with my completely random dice rolls, which I did video to make sure that I couldn't be accused of this. But yes, so normally in a team tournament, you go through an elaborate pairing process. And it's one of the best things about team tournaments is the whole, we put up 2 matchups, you put up a matchup, and it's all the bluff and counterplay of that matchup where you're trying to engineer the best matchups. Now, Charles and I didn't have the sort of mental bandwidth to work out a matchup process for teams of 5 as opposed to 4 or 6 or 8. So I suggested that we just randomly roll up. So I did. And I would have to say that I was very, very happy with the matchups that we as Team New Zealand got. I don't think I could have handpicked a better set of matchups for us.
So how did that go for Seth?
All right. Hold on. Liam, have we told what our armies were? So we know
our armies were. So the captain had Gloomspite, and you only had like 1 or 2 practice games before this, correct?
I think I had maybe 1 or 2. Yeah, I had 1 or 2 practice games.
Yeah,
So that's my excuse, guys. In fact, that's my excuse.
And then we had myself with Sylvaneth, Hayden with Sylvaneth, and then we had Sam Morgan's narrative. I emphasize the word narrative list of Mixed Order, and then Paul Gritzzy's Swift Hawk, and yeah, that was our armies. I haven't missed anyone, no. And so pretty much that was our army. So we had quite a lot of trees actually in all these teams. Didn't we have like 4 out of the 10 armies?
Yeah. So we had 4 out of 10 with Sylvaneth, and there were only 6 Sylvaneth armies in the 200 players at CanCon.
So not a single Grimghast.
Most of us, yeah.
Not a single Grimghast.
There was a single Grimghast inside, and it was glorious. It was glorious. But
so it didn't turn out to be very representative of the CanCon field.
No, I think LVO would. I thought it's LVO. LLV would have a he'd have a statistical blowout for not seeing the meta. So we definitely blew that one out.
So many trees. What? But yeah, so
let's start the start. So let's talk about like the results. So obviously we had the matchups, and the results started coming in. And Liam and Seth, you guys were the first game to finish your outcome. Let's talk the game. It might go as long as the game actually happened.
We play quickly. That's why we finished first.
Seth, how about you explain what happened? Like, what did you see on your side of the table?
So this is Seth's got the Gloomspite Gits with spiders versus Liam's Sylvaneth.
Yep. So I asked a ton of questions the night before to Lee about how this would go, right? And he kept warning me about Durthu and the Witch Bomb and all these things. Not once did he mention that you could redeploy and get +3 to your charge and take my objectives on turn 1. We played better part of Valor, I should say.
Yeah, my least favorite scenario.
Yeah.
Yep.
Liam took the first turn like he should with 1 drop, and he just swarmed my side of the board and burned the objectives. He didn't kill too much stuff. He just positioned himself correctly to outnumber me on the points, and he burned them all 6 in the first turn. So we played for 20 minutes, and I didn't even get a chance to go, and the game was over. But I take solace in knowing that if we had played the game out, I would have taken your army off the table. But that's not really. We're not playing 40K, right? Yeah. So that doesn't matter.
Yeah, So wait, so we got Sean on the chat saying such a bad matchup for anyone with Liam on that mission, and I was like, and we did say that after our game, I was like, it is a terrible matchup, and then we also worked out that if you actually deployed your spiders, just letting anyone know, Seth actually had 3 big spiders. If you actually put them on the objective, it would have been harder for me to get them off turn.
Yeah, it's that's hindsight. It's all good. Like I said, I wasn't too stressed about it, man. Like I was just there to have a good time. The game was over quick. Is what it is. And I had a great time playing you. Like you're an absolute gent and a legend. And then after our game was over, we got to walk around and talk shit to everyone else. So I mean,
right?
Yeah, it was awesome.
So currently we're up. Australia's up 1-0. We go into the next match.
Charles, I also just say Charles was over the moon. How quick that game! He goes, awesome. Let's hopefully everyone else is like that. I'm like, I hardly doubt anyone's going to be like that game.
Yeah, well, we sort of knew the night before that if there was a sure loss in the matchups, it would be me. Like I knew I was climbing uphill real hard. So not saying I didn't try because I did. Well, I didn't get a chance to, but I knew it was going to go that way. So I wasn't fussed about it at all. I knew that everyone else on the New Zealand side had a good chance to win. I think maybe Dan's game was going to be the closest, and it ended up being the closest, and he ended up pulling it out. So, but that's a spoiler alert. Sorry.
That's all good. Next game. Dan, do you want to talk about your game of Hayden?
Well, that was the last game, wasn't it? That was
the last one to finish it.
That was the clincher.
Coach, I think you and Fraser actually finished next.
I believe we were. So we're currently up 1-0. Australia's feeling really confident. Fraser's on the line. I don't know if he's going to talk or not, or just interpretive dance his results.
No, I'll talk now. I just have a lot of background noise, so.
That's right. Just talk louder than them. So you and I were playing. I was playing as the Gloomspite. So I had a goblin squeak heavy Gloomspite. You were playing a very narrative.
Very. The first roll defilement.
Even your wife or your kids or your worker, whoever's behind you is laughing at your narrative thricefold.
Oh, of course they are. No one's behind me. I don't know about them.
It's a ghost.
Yeah.
So you and I were playing. So tell us about the game. How did you find it? And be kind to me.
I mean, considering it was my first game with the army, I kept getting shocked of how much damage that could push out. However, versing Gloomspites for the first time, it was also good fun figuring out how silly they can be with all the negative ones to hit.
So we were playing, what scenario were we playing?
I believe we played Knife to the Heart.
We were. So we're playing a hero-based scenario. You've got 3 big fat heroes, and I've got a bunch of grots.
Yep, and I've got a big flying fat hero as well. Does help. Knife to the Heart is probably one of my favorite scenarios on the fact I can normally guarantee a minor victory at least.
Yep. And it was super interesting because I'd previously played a Thricefold, not in a hero-based scenario, and it was definitely, I think, you know, for Seth, who was like, this is an auto lose or a very hard loss. I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, how on earth do I protect myself? And your Plague Wind was super strong. Just was deleting grots.
On top of Deluge did.
I think as a fellow Gloomspite player, I think in that scenario against Fraser's army, you have to like just block him from getting to your objective. Like just put waves and waves of bodies in front of him, make him chew through them in every turn. That's really the only chance. And then play for the minor. I don't know if it's possible, but that would have been my strategy.
Absolutely. And the super interesting thing was while his Plague Wind was deleting those grots and making that smaller, I decided to cast the Mork's Mighty Mushroom into myself with a big roll. I rolled 66, looking for that big roll. Statistically, it's between 18 to 21. I rolled a 13.
It was great.
And I was ready to actually put them in my own grots to teach them a lesson until I think Thomas Holdsworth and a few others would like, just put it somewhere else. I'm like, all right. Yeah. But I wanted to teach them a lesson. I'm like, do not do that shit again. I can't afford that at CanCon.
No, of course not.
Eat your own mushroom.
Did it happen at CanCon?
No, it didn't actually. I remember I played I think it was game 5 against Andrew from the failed charge in Toowoomba. And I think I threw it like 30 inches. So it learned its lesson, but not well enough against Fraser.
I think the main thing in our game was just me getting that 10-inch charge at the very end to secure the major.
So we'll rewind. So I'm fighting for a minor. I'm fighting. I'm rallying. I'm retreating. I'm like just doing everything I can to stop Fraser. And then he does this.
Yeah. So with the flying great unclean one, I got close enough to the board edge and summoned, I think it was just 10 plague bearers, 9 inches out from his squid gobbler, which was the only thing near the objective. Then 10-inch charge, but I did have to use my last command point to reroll. However, as Seth was saying, holding me back, you did do that, but I can also tarp it quite effectively as well.
You played a great game. I kept a lot of your plague bearers at the back for a while, but ultimately those 3 great unclean ones, or Rodicus and the 2, were those super strong. So you played a great game.
Yeah. So that's currently 1 for New Zealand, 1 for Australia so far.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Game 3, was that Lee?
No, game 3 was Sean and Paul.
With Sean versus Swift Hawk.
Oh, yeah.
So-
and go on.
I was just going to say, I'm happy to cover that. So that was Sean Bates with his Ambrels of Heldenhammer versus Paul and his Swift Hawks. And so naturally we thought, Swift Hawks, this is going to be a win for us. And Paul did a legendary effort. So they were playing Border War in Shaiish with the Aetherquake Aftershock Realmscape feature. That gives a +1 to casting rolls. And basically, as you'd expect in Border War, Paul just used his Swifthawk mobility from the outset. So he scored maximum points for the first 3 rounds of the game to lead 15-4 at the top of turn 3. So this was effectively a replay for Sean of the game that the magnificent victory he had against Sam Morgan in the warm-up game before the Tasman Cup, where his opponent goes out to a massive lead, and then Sean's got to pull himself back. Sean, in terms of his Stormcast armies, always plays an army that needs all 5 turns in order to win, effectively. It's always the issue with Stormcast, unless you're going full Alpha Strike or you have like when they had Vanguard Wing or something like that. Basically, you need all 5 turns in order to maximize the damage output from the small number of models that you have. That's very much how Sean plays. And so Sean basically pulled it back. Got the points he needed in bottom turn 3 and in turn 4, and it came down to the priority roll going into turn 5. Paul got a 5, Sean got a 6. Classic Warhammer story. So that meant that we were now 2-1 up after 3 games.
That game was so entertaining to watch. Like, it was awesome. And I'm pretty sure even Sean's face was just like, what's going on here? Like, how is Swifthawk doing this? And then, I think we all were. We were like, how is Swifthawk like this? And then we saw throughout CanCon, Swifthawk was doing, like, did it got 3 majors for the first 3 games?
Yeah, 3 majors.
Yeah, so cuts for Paul for showing that Swifthawk is OP and they need to get a nerf ASAP. But yeah, it was awesome to watch. So
unfortunately for them, they're going to get the nerf when they're not going to actually have any models left in their army. Unfortunately, if we take the what's happening with the Island of Blood set, but hey, that's a subtopic for another show.
Rest in peace, the postman.
So we almost were up 2-1, but now it's 2-1 to the Kiwis.
Yep, 2-1 to the Kiwis. Now, so pretty much the next game after this was Sam versus Lee. So this is Sam's narrative. I really emphasize the word narrative. Mixed order, which just has all the goodies in it, and they were playing Relocating Orb. And from what I could see was the Relocating Orb kept going close to, and also just letting you guys know, I think Lee was running a Winterleaf with Alariel. Is that correct? With Eels?
Yes.
So,
Eels.
Yes. So pretty much a really strong Sylvaneth list going against a really strong mixed order. And with Relocating Orb's rules about like wizards capturing and stuff, I think both Sam and Lee were trying to emphasize that rule when I was watching them play. And yeah, so pretty much I think that game was pretty close. Like they kept going up and up and up and up. And then the Relocation Orb at the very end was dead set in the middle, back in the middle. And Sam just ran his evocators or evocators, whatever you guys would like to call them, got them so they counted 20 or more models. And he literally said, and apparently throughout the whole entire game, Sam's like, I'm going to table you this turn. I'm going to table you this turn. I'm going to table you this turn. And just kept emphasizing that. And Lee's like, you said that the last turn.
Sam exudes confidence, doesn't he?
Oh,
He's like, I'm going to do it.
He just sweats it out of his pores.
I think Lee's been tabled once in this entire time playing Sylvaneth. Maybe twice now after CanCon.
Yeah, so I was just like, the fact that he just kept going, saying like, yep. And then Lee's like, you kept saying that, but it's not happening. But I think Sam got either the major or minor win out of that. I forgot which one it was, but it was honestly a really close game. to watch. And it was actually one of the games where I just couldn't watch near the end. I was like, I'm done.
Too close.
I'm pretty sure it was a major win because of the way the orb bounced on the last turn.
Yeah. I think he only got about like 2 points though.
Yeah,
he was just able to block Lee from getting to it. If Lee would have gotten to it on the bottom of turn, whatever they got to, probably not 5. If Lee was playing, but at the bottom of the turn, Sam was able to block Lee off, and Lee had like 10 dryads.
Cone of Hunters. He had 10 dryads, 3 Cone of Hunters, and a branch rave. That was it.
Yeah, he had bugger all left, and I think it was all summon stuff except for the wraith.
Yeah, so it was a really interesting game to watch. But yeah, so currently Australia's on 2-2. So Australia's on 2, New Zealand's on 2. So we got the last game, which I think no one was expecting, but it was going to be this close for the Tasman Cup, because I'm pretty sure both sides were pretty confident. So, Dan, what happened?
Hey, but before Dan explains, I want to share a little story on what I heard from the table. Now, Dan, you hadn't played many games with your army. In fact, I believe it was a hashtag net list from.
Didn't he also copy the list artwork from Bad Dice?
Yeah, well, look, if you're blatantly going to just take Laurie's list from the UK Masters, you might as well just take the image that is posted on the UK Masters site and submit it.
Not only that, I had heard a rumor that you hadn't got to play many games and instead had spent 1 to 2 days of writing notes about how to play this army. So you were pure theory hammer.
Yeah, like legitimately, this was my 6th game of AOS 2.
Against Hayden, who was at the Masters, who knows how to run his army. He's very competent, very confident man. Against Shorts, who's only played 6 games and is theory hammering everything. Dan, take us away. How did this game go?
Please go.
Yeah.
Given that this was the Sylvaneth mirror match, you would be unsurprised to find that it was the last game still running. Especially as I was running a Winterleaf, so I was redeploying everything on turn 1, and Hayden was running a Gnarlroot where he was casting 11 spells a turn. So we were playing in 3 places of power. In Haish with the Dazzling Glow Realmscape feature, which means that if you don't know what that is, that's -1 to hit rolls against things which are in cover. So that meant a lot of highly negative to hit Sylvaneth units in cover. And so the whole dynamic of the game, and I'd have to say at the outset, despite my lack of sort of match play or experience, I think my list was more suited to the scenario, for 2 reasons. One, we were both rocking Alarion, but I also had the Phoenix. So I had a Frostlord Phoenix, which was Frost Phoenix, which was going to sit on the middle objective and basically create this massive bubble where either he had to come into me and cast spells near me, or basically dance around. So I was just trying to create an area of negative effect in the middle of the board. So he's either got to come and cast spells, and that improves the armor save and resilience of my Phoenix in the middle of the board, or he's got to move around. So a lot of this game was, given the way our lists were built, a lot of this game was going to come down to who got the first turn. I was lucky enough to get the roll off, so I got choice. So I dropped everything, took first turn and redeployed onto the objectives.
And I'll pause you at this minute and tell you that Hayden says that this was your game to lose. He was confident.
Completely. As soon as I got that roll, it was completely and utterly my game to fuck up and lose. But simply because of 1, the nature of the list, and 2, taking priority. So I was in the box seat and I spent the entire game shitting myself that I was going to bottle it. And the reason why I was shitting myself was because Hayden was playing absolutely marvelously. So I'd said at the outset that I was trying to create a negative space in the middle of the board with which he either had to come in or avoid casting. And he went through 4 turns of a Gnarlroot list casting 11 spells a turn, and he never cast a single spell in the range of my Phoenix. So my Phoenix was on a 5-up armor save the entire game. And Despite that, he still managed to take out my main, my branch wraith, which I put on one of the objectives, surrounded by 30 dryads. So he neutralised that objective. He threatened Lariel. He switched all of his forces over to the other side of the board to claim one of the objectives with a Lariel. And then he concentrated his forces on the middle of the board. And so the whole story of the game after all of that movement dance, was whether or not Hayden's Dryads and Tree Lord Tree Lord Ancient were going to be able to take down my Phoenix on my 5-up save. And look, it was swinging all over the show. And if Hayden had activated some of his units in a different order, then he would have had the win. I managed to keep my Phoenix alive with regrowth, just healing a couple of extra wounds as I needed to. But it came right down to the end. And Hayden was a great guy to play. He played it by the seat of his pants, and despite it being my game to lose, he made it a really, really, really tight battle. Got it the 10th, but it was a great end to the Tasman Cup.
So when I was watching that game, I was watching it and I was trying so hard not to be like a backseat general. So I literally tried to keep myself quiet. I'm like, cool. I'm not going to say anything because I really wanted to see if Hayden was going to do what I did. And this is I understand you guys were under time pressure, and also everyone was watching you. So I totally understood what happened here. And I have to say, all he had to do was activate the Dryads before the Tree Lord Ancient, and that would have been his game. Would you agree?
Yeah.
That's all he had to do.
Based on dice rolls. But look, there were both things where we made a couple of mistakes. Like I made some deployment issues. I didn't move some of my characters that I should have done well in the first couple of turns. So pure ring rust. So if I hadn't made those mistakes, I could have taken it early. But no, it came down to that, and Hayden could have won it.
It was still a great game to watch. I was just and Hayden, I spoke to Hayden afterwards. I was you know what he could have done? And he goes, he said, I should have done the Dryads first, then the Tree Lord. I was like, yep, cool. That's all you have to say. Perfect. But yeah, also Sylvaneth mirror matches, they just take forever.
They do.
They take forever. But it's a matchup that some people just have to take, like I did during CanCon. So so that got you guys the win. Just.
Yeah, and very proud we were too. So that plaque is now sitting down in Wellington, probably in Sean's house. And we're going to get the plaque done up, noting our glorious victory. And we'll put a few more on there for you guys to get a chance to take it back in future years.
Yeah, I like to say years. It's not going to take us that long. We're gonna send the best of the best at you guys next time. So, we're gonna call the troops. Watch yourselves. This was a charity event for us. We didn't want to kick your ass too early. I know Liam and I were talking a lot. If we beat you guys too hard, would light a fire and you'd win CanCon, and we couldn't let that happen. Either
that or we wouldn't come back next year.
I would say Sean was pretty close taking out CanCon. He got a few wins on the weekend, a lot. Didn't he got 5 wins?
Yeah, Q Fraser.
Q Fraser. Yeah, I'm the one that got the most for New Zealand players.
Okay, sorry. As I said, you guys were pretty close to taking out CanCon.
Sean just got more secondaries.
There.
And sports votes.
Yeah, so you guys took best sports. Yeah, you guys did fine. You guys did great.
All right,
I took best sports. Second best, actually.
So it's pretty much Australia just has to come over, and we're going to take some of your trophies away from you. So May sounds good.
Come on.
May, yeah.
Liam's coming over to get best sports from New Zealand.
Yeah, right.
See how that goes.
So let's talk CanCon. Let's talk. So you've had a very successful campaign. You've taken away the Transtasman Cup. Honest Wargamer had done some interviews and some coverage, and had some good laughs, and there's some photos going around. So what were your, instead of going through each game at CanCon, because I think we'll be here till the next CanCon, how did you find CanCon overall and the Australian, quote unquote meta? Like, what were your observations? How did you find it? Your players, your interactions, just whatever comes to mind.
I'll go first. I'll jump on this. CanCon overall was hands down my best wargaming experience in my life. It was amazing. From the word go, like from the travel, getting on the plane, getting in the car, driving from Sydney to Canberra, seeing things I've never seen before, like kangaroos and shit. And then the social aspect of it, I could not speak on that well enough. Like, the social aspect is what put it over the top. Like, the tournament itself was great and was well run by Clint and all his guys. And I had 5 really good games and 1 marginal game. But it was the tournament itself was great. But the social aspect and meeting all the guys and people that I only interact with on the internet, and then, they walk up to me and they say, hey, Seth, blah, 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 or they introduce themselves as their name, and then they say their Twitter handle or whatever it may be, and then I recognize who they are, and then, we're like best mates after that. But that whole part of it, like, it was almost like going to summer camp, man. It was really great. Like, it was cool. I had a really good time. And like I said before, I'll go every year until I can't. So.
Sweet.
Dan, what were your observations? Because obviously you weren't playing at CanCon. You were running around watching games and taking notes. What did you see from your interactions? And, was there anything quirky that Australia is doing that maybe either the rest of the world or at least New Zealand you hadn't seen before? Or are we the same?
Okay, let's try and pull some threads out then to be useful. One,
let's rip them apart.
Look, putting aside scored privateers and swift agents, and whatever the hell Ryan was running in his Beast of Chaos list.
We also had the one ever chosen army, I think, as well.
Yep, the one ever chosen army. There's always
that one guy, though.
Sorry, I lost you there, Liam.
Yeah, isn't it always one guy that runs ever chosen?
Yeah, pretty much. Setting aside those sort of statistical oddities, the thing that was interesting to see in the list was that you took defined known factions, but you played different builds of them. So you look at the Stormcast list that you had there. No one really had the Sure Charge bomb, but you still had plenty of Stormcast lists at the top of the tables. You had still plenty of Daughters of Cain lists, but none of them are the sort of copy and paste Ben Sava Daughters of Cain list. You've got a number of lists using different temples, heavy snake builds. All of these are really good because what you're showing is you're demonstrating the strength of both of those books, apart from those obvious top UK net builds. So that was something really interesting. You see Matt with his Gore Pilgrims list played incredibly well. You see CanCon with his KO list. So you've got people who are running top armies in different ways. So that was really interesting to see from a sort of top end competitive level. It was interesting to see on the painting and hobby side, it was really interesting to see the sort of real top level painting. So Danny and Bront and James Lynch, is it? Yeah. With his Blades of Corn army. Really, really top level painting that would stand up against literally anything I've seen in the UK or the US in terms of sort of consistent quality of painting across the armies. And the quality of painting across a 200 player event, you expect there to be some sketchy painting. But I think the greatest thing for the pack was you guys nailed it. There was a couple of flesh hounds on one table that were questionable because they were sort of undercoated and that was about it, and somehow they snuck through. But apart from that, and some comments about a couple of proxies, but apart from that, the the quality of armies across the entire field was great. And the only other thing that I would sort of comment on as being different from what you see in other tournaments around the world, and the only one that sort of comes a bit close to it, was the way that the South Coast GT used to run, was the fact that you guys were bringing 3 pieces of terrain each onto the table. So each of the tables, for people at home, each of the tables had effectively about 6 pieces of terrain provided by the tournament organisers. And then each player brought 3 pieces on, and there was sort of a mini game before the game even started about the placement of the terrain and particular rules as to how you could place them. Now, I don't know how many players actually played those rules out in full as to how far from a table edge, how far from an objective, how far from another piece of terrain.
What I liked was that you saw the top tier guys, like all the top players were following that because they knew it was a game.
Yeah.
If that made sense. Like I think it was like on my 4th or 5th game, someone who was like just bumped up from the mid tables. He was like, "Oh, I get to place it on here." I'm like, "No, you have to be 6 inches away." And he was like, "Oh, what? That's not in the pack." I'm like, "Yeah, it is." And I had to and he was just like mind blown. But that was like, he was like, "Oh, so I can't actually fit it." I'm like, "No, you literally have brought a terrain piece I can't fit."
Yeah. And that was one of the issues, right? Is that some people were doing that and some people weren't. And some people sort of read half the pack and thought, great, I get to bring my own line of sight blocking terrain, so I'm going to take something that's 2.5 foot high by 1.5 feet and plonk it down in the middle of the board and bye-bye shooting. Or block it. Like there was a guy who had sort of 3 dinner plate size pieces of terrain purely to not to deny Sylvaneth any place for their woods and things like that. So, but those people were very much the exception. Like most people brought 3 reasonable, good quality size pieces of terrain. And the number of people who put so much effort in theming that terrain with their army, like the guy who got the award for his Idoneth Deepkin Waves, the Aussie Wargamer with his, what was it, tree houses and things that he'd sort of scratch built.
He had developed a Bretonian Sylvaneth, Lady of the Lake style marsh display board and thematical terrain, and absolutely exceptional. But
use more adjectives, please, next time.
Yeah, he did like a lot of, and then I think we did, and Dan, you probably saw this in your blog post when you were writing it and stuff, is like CanCon, I think you guys can all agree, CanCon wasn't just like a gaming tournament, it was like a hobby tournament as well. Like there was like a side, like you had the competitive players, the narrative players, and then you got the top tier hobbyists who are literally there to show off what they do in the hobby, which I thought was
impressive, the hobby.
Has it inspired you guys to improve your hobby? Like, have you guys like gone out of that being like, I want to reach to like a certain standard now? Like, I want to make a cool display board kind of thing?
I haven't touched a model since I left Australia. So
yeah, that's a simple Seth. I'm hacking them up at the moment.
Guys, come on.
Yeah, the only other thing that I was going to pick up there from what you said, Liam, was the narrative element. So this is something that has been done at events, numerous events around the world, in order to try and have something that attracts the widest player base. So you want something that's, as Liam was saying, you want something that's attractive for the competitive match play gamers. You want something that's attractive for the hobbyists. You want something that's attractive for narrative gamers. And CanCon had the narrative bingo. So everybody got given a bingo card of a set of achievements at the beginning of the event, and you crossed off the achievements as you did them, and once you got the line, you submitted the card and you went into a prize draw. And I think at the end of the event, there was about 10 different people got their name drawn out and got a significant prize.
Yeah, the Measured Gaming boys have been laughing their ass off that Tristan got a narrative event, a prize, and they've been taking the piss out of him, or at least on Bush Radio, they were taking the piss out of Tristan, the narrative gamer.
Good. It's like Laurie, the narrative gamer, with his Frost Phoenix, because it's Winterleaf. But the thing that I liked about that was the execution of it, because it's an idea that we've seen at numerous events, but it was executed really well, because you looked at the achievements on the card, and with a couple of exceptions, pretty much they were all things either within your control or they were things that were positive. Like it wasn't like, ha ha, you just lost all your models and you got tabled, tick a box. Like, it was none of this, oh, something bad's happened to you, so here's
a feel bad thing.
Yeah, here's a sort of commiseration prize for the feel bad thing. It was all achievable positive things. And with the exception of, I think, 1 or 2 armies in the 200 army field, they were achievable by all armies. So it wasn't tied to just particular builds. So everybody had a chance. So I think Clint and the team who put those together, they were really good. And I think more events should copy it.
I reckon some events will be, from what I've heard.
Yeah, the narrative thing was really good.
Yeah, I think, I think when you look at the narrative theme, it's been building over time. The guys at Raw and the guys at Nova. When I was at Blood and Glory, Steve Wren doing Warhammer achievements had positive and negative, but that was very much like a narrative thing. And I think we're getting to this point where we are finding that nice blend, and we can really start catering something for everyone. And I don't know about you guys, but I know as I was playing my competitive games, I was still able to keep track of the bingo, and it didn't seem like I was torn between competing for top prize, competing for narrative. I could do both, and it was quite an easy feat to keep on track. So I don't know. Did you feel the same?
Man, I'll be honest. I was way too hungover on Saturday morning to think.
Can I say, if it wasn't for Seth, right, I would probably be more switched on the Saturday. It was all Seth's fault, but I turned up hungover.
Yeah. I'll take credit for it.
Weak excuses.
But I was by game 3, by my third game. So game 1, I was like super hungover. I played Lockie from Dwellers. Game 2, I had a negative experience, so I wasn't thinking about it then. Game 3, I let my opponent know that I had a negative experience in game 2, and he was like like your fat auntie that comes and gives you a hug when you're not feeling good. Except, he wasn't fat. Like, he was just like big, and he was caring, and like he was just wanted to give me the best experience that I could have, and he was super awesome. And
I like how you clarified that he wasn't fat, and as opposed to he wasn't your auntie.
Well, he wasn't obviously my auntie, but he was so into the narrative thing, he pulled his card out right from the get-go before he even put our models on the table. It was Pasquale Barille.
Oh.
Barille.
What did he have? Did he have Skaven?
Yeah.
He's sick.
I played him.
Yeah, he was so great.
I played him at Sydney Slaughter, and in one combat, I killed 140 of his clan rats, and I felt bad. So he's a legend, but I don't think he looks at me the same way.
He got one of my best game votes, but before we even put our armies on the table, he pulled the card out, and he was like, "What do you got on here?" And I'm like, "Shit, man, I don't know. I've had a rough morning, so I don't know what I got. I haven't even pulled it out." And he literally helped me go through them before our game started, and we marked them off. And I didn't get a strike by the end of the thing, but he helped me out.
I'm gonna be straight with you guys. I was way too competitive throughout the weekend, but I completely threw mine out.
I completed mine, and I forgot to put my name on it.
Yeah.
I mean, I did the thing of not reading that card.
Yeah.
I ended up having all but 2 of them done by the time I handed it in.
Yeah, Fraser marked off every single thing on the thing.
I did the same until Clint came around and he goes, "You realize you only need to get a line." I'm like, "Oh, I've been trying to get them all." I thought it was Pokemon.
Yeah, I think that was my 5th round opponent who mentioned that, "Oh, you just need a line," because I had 2 lines at this point. I'm just like, there's 2 more. I'm like, I can't get one of them until the 6th game because my general needed to survive all 6 games.
Love it.
Oh, God.
So, let's think about Australia versus New Zealand. Is there any ideas that you guys are thinking about, or maybe you've told some local TOs in New Zealand some ideas that maybe you want to bring over to your communities, or things that you noticed that would be great to incorporate?
Besides an AOS villain.
We've got our fair share.
We do.
I thought the secondary objectives were well balanced. And I'd be interested in your guys' thoughts because obviously I wasn't playing.
You said they were balanced?
I thought they were.
Seth's ready to say no, they're not.
I know. No, I don't think that they were like crazy out of control, but I think that number one would be that there were only 7 of them and there were 6 games. So narrowing them down that hard made it that far made it really hard for some armies to achieve. You know, like you get to game 5 and you're like, shit, I got 3 left. What can I accomplish out of these 3? Like, what is possible versus the scenario? Because honestly, when you're playing game 1 and game 2, you're not looking at game 4 or 5 or 6 to get, you're looking at your secondary like, oh, game 6 is this scenario. I'll put this objective aside for that one. So by the time I got to the end of the second day, I was like, fuck, I don't have anything I can do. What do I do? And I also think that I think they were weighted heavily. That's my opinion, and that's biased because I only got 3 of them, right? Sean Bates got all of his. We finished with the same record, right? He got 6 secondaries. I got 3. He finished 18th. I finished 45th, right? And I understand there's a huge field and there has to be a tiebreaker. I get that. I'm probably just a bit sour because I ended up on the short end of that stick. But
well, this is always
that's my opinion on those.
Where's favorite sports Seth? Where's that guy?
He's there.
He's dead. He's got the prize. It's in the bin. He's now competitive.
Yeah, put some dice on the board and we'll have a good game. That's what it's about. But I'm just analyzing now. I'm analytical, Seth.
I'm going to let you know that some people in the Australian community don't like the secondary ejectors. Like, I remember in the Sydney GT, Anthony had to deal with quite a bit of a backlash of it, correct? You had to deal with quite a backlash from it?
Yeah, and it's interesting that you're saying this, Seth, because at Sydney GT last year, I had 9. I gave everybody 9 secondaries, so there was a bit more of an option to kind of like you didn't find yourself at the last game with only 1 or 2 up your sleeve. You still had a good variety. I was targeting more of the average gamer. Like certainly, obviously I had something for the top gamers, but certainly I want to bring more of Australian together. And I probably weighted my secondaries a lot higher than Clint did. But I think this year I'll scale that back. And it's an interesting debate if you don't weight the secondaries high enough, will people strive for them? Yeah. Or, as you've just said, if it's very hard if someone has more wins than somebody else, but if that other person gets more secondaries, does it seem fair that the secondaries can bring you equal or higher than someone who wins more?
I think that it just sort of the draw, like it was random. They chose 7 random ones, or maybe they didn't. Maybe they had some plan, and there were 6 scenarios, and they were worth 4 points each. Right? So it's at 24 points on your score. Some armies are on the back foot to get those 7, right? Like it's going to be harder for some than it is for others. So I don't mind it being worth 4 points. Like that was okay, but have 9 or 12 to choose from. That way that everyone has an equal opportunity to gain the 4 points per game. And because I don't know, maybe I can't get to your territory and hold your objectives for 1 turn. Maybe that's not in my army's strategy. Maybe you know what I mean? Like it narrowed it down really far, and it made it really difficult for some people. Not just speaking for myself. I'm sure that others have the same opinion as me. There was 200 people there, so
it's like even with mine. Like I chose Behemoth at the right time because if you get a matchup where you don't have any more behemoths for the rest of the tournament, you've got to take that risk. And then by the time I had domination where I had to make 3 units run, I only versed legions and a gash, so the chance of that happening was quite low.
Right.
No, it's an interesting conversation, and I think when you start thinking of secondaries and the purpose of secondaries, and do you just go with like how many layers do you need to apply to a large tournament when you've got win, loss, secondaries, kill points? I know there are some interesting people like Joel McGrath, who's in the chat, who's got some interesting things happening in, I think it's Bush Bash, to kind of separate the pack and not going the traditional route. yeah, it's a fascinating discussion, but certainly some ways to break up the pack is something you might take with you. Dan, I know you've got to run in a minute. I know, being a Warhammer hero, you can only grace us with a certain amount of presence, and I haven't paid you longer than an hour. You've been charging by the hour, so the fact he's given us extra 8 minutes is just a testament to his.
He is a lawyer, so.
Yeah, it's 6-minute segments.
Yeah, 6-minute billable minutes. I've worked with lawyers, so very familiar. Any other observations before you have to run, or any shout outs before you've got to disappear, mate?
Look, in terms of observations, not really. I shout outs, thanks again to Clint and the entire Herald's team for the fabulous hosts that those guys were. The Australian community, you guys treated us like kings, really. And it was great hanging out with everybody from as far north as Cairns and Randy in Tasmania and Sydney crew and the Melbourne and Measured Lads. My daughter is still running around in her Measured shirt, absolutely loving her pink tropical dress that she is wearing. So she loves it. It was amazing. The Australian scene was so good to us. And thanks to Rob and the guys for giving me the opportunity to take part in the stream, barrel around and have a blast watching Rob, Dan and Nathan do their thing. Those guys were just showing again what good coverage can really do for an event, and a community as a whole. What those guys put on was really good. They're setting the bar.
Agreed. And for anyone who's joined us late, Dan was showing off 2 sexy new books that he's received. One for Skaven, one for Flesh Eater Courts 2.0. When can we expect to see some beautiful, juicy content? I know you've been working on it. Sneak peek for us. What's going on?
I was doing the Flesh Eaters Battletome review this evening, but then decided I'd join you guys. So it's delayed a few more hours as a result of that. Flesh Eaters should be up tomorrow morning, first half of the day. And Skaven will probably be Friday. There's a lot of stuff in the Skaven book. I'm going to try with both of these reviews. I'm going to try and do what I usually do, which is cover. Look, what's the overview? What are the things that you need to know for each of these armies? How have they changed? What are the main play styles? What are the things that you're looking for? What's broken as fuck in them? So I can't remember if this is PG-13.
It's not. It's got
you're a Warhammer hero, so you do whatever you want.
What's the best? How do the allegiance abilities work? What's the pick of them? What's the pick of the command traits? What's the pick of the artifacts? How do the spells work? And sort of what are the potential builds? So I've got a couple of potential builds for Flesh Eater Courts for different ways of running it. Tip, buy lots of big beasties. And then 2 or 3 different builds that I'm thinking about for Skaven. But as we were talking earlier, Liam, really keen to see what Dan Brewer concocts for Skaven, because he will set me on it.
The list he's sending me, I'm not gonna lie. I'm looking at all my armies. I'm like, I'm fucked. I'm screwed. I'm out.
I want to see what comes out of that.
You just need to have 3 start collecting boxes for Flesh Eater.
Oh yeah,
good. That's all you need.
I've got 4. I bought 4 from Warhammer Worlds, and I have.
You're gonna win. You're gonna be world champion.
I have the Royal Menagerie. I don't know if you guys can see, but I've got 3 Terrorgeists and now 2 Zombie Dragons. So, but that was what I was running in AOS 1. I had that in AOS 1, so I'm not a bandwagon.
Before it became the meta.
Yeah. The only thing you're going to need to do is buy 2 of those Carrion Empire boxes so you can have 2 Archregents.
Now, Dan,
how do I not name that guy? To give him names so he can't take 2. That's.
What I was going to say was, Dan, so we may or may not see you at Notorious GT. May or may not.
I'm going to try. I've got air points as long as I can sort the leave pass at home.
Okay.
Do we need to start a GoFundMe page to get
Dan? We'll start a GoFundMe page.
to get Dan from Auckland to Wellington on a bus.
No. I can afford that trip. Thank you very much.
Yeah. I hope so.
Okay, cool. Because I'm still thinking, because at the moment I have no grudge yet, and I'm still, if you're going, I would like to do a grudge.
Yeah, well, if I'm there, it's on, mate.
Done.
Mate,
Cool.
mate. If Dan doesn't go, you're grudging me.
Oh shit.
That's how it works. Yes.
Better part of that.
Yeah, it is right there. No, we're not playing Better Part of Valor. Not happening.
You don't even know what I'm bringing yet. It might be Slanesh.
That's fine. They can't be faster than your Winterleaf.
Oh.
Yes, it can be. Yes, it can be.
They're considerably faster.
All right, I'm gonna herd the cats back. I'm gonna reel you guys back in. So Dan, if you have to drop off, thank you very much. But let's reel you in. Let's talk about the New Zealand scene before we get into events and around the ground. So Liam's going over to New Zealand soon. There's a whole range of people who are currently watching now or in future. What's New Zealand look like? What's the gaming scape like? Like, tell us about your community. I know you've got a great Facebook group. People like Nathan Smith are very active, and you've got a really good group. But what do we need to know, and why should people come to your events?
Yeah, let's let Fraser speak on that first as a TO, because Fraser's been a TO of some of the largest events in the country.
So for our scene, we tend to, while we get a good turnout, we do have the same sort of scene you guys do, and the fact that we'll have people coming over for narrative, people coming over just to play, or some people like Sloan or Bo, who are mainly there for hobby reasons. Aside from that, most of our tournaments are now starting to include the secondaries from the Warhammer community page, along with a painting rubric, which we might be copying a bit more to a higher standard, as ours used to be a bit subpar, but it was enough to make people paint full armies.
Cool.
Yeah. So
quickly, what's the average number of people attending your large tournaments? Like, what's the average number?
Our large tournaments tend to be about 26 to 32 players.
It's pretty good.
At the moment, we don't have the South Island scene coming up. With me moving down there, I am going to push that like hell.
Cool.
Yeah, it's real difficult because Christchurch has like a burgeoning scene. Like Christchurch they have probably as many players as we do in the North Island.
Yeah.
However, we may as well be two different countries. You know what I mean? Like, it's like if Tasmania had like a 100-player tournament.
It's like Western Australia, like everyone else. It should be its own country.
Yeah. And it's difficult because it's not expensive to get there. It's the logistics of going there. You can't just get in your car and go. You can, but you'll pay more than you would if you flew to get on a ferry. So the goal would be to combine the two islands into one scene, because they just had a team tournament like 2 weeks ago, and they had 24 players.
Yeah.
And it was like a one-day thing, right? And it was 1 day, 24 players. So how many teams is that? 12. That's pretty sick.
Yeah. I think the Christchurch scene is tending to get around 20 players plus per tournament. We've been moving down south, and I know the Dunedin scene is big, but they just don't have any tournaments run down there. So I'll push that. And then once we get both Dunedin and Christchurch scenes interacting, that's when we might be able to get tournaments that the North Island players are willing to travel for. And then by showing that, we can get the South Island players traveling up. Because in the past, we have had me, Nick Gibson, and Jonathan Enser. We've traveled down to the South Islands, and some of the hobby down there, the players, they're all top-notch lads.
Cool.
So what can we expect? So I'm interested in signing up to a Kiwi event. What do I expect coming over? Is it the same thing as a regular club meet, or is there little nuances that New Zealand has that may surprise and delight?
So I don't know. It may be best for me to speak on this as a foreigner, right? Because I know, right? I know how things were in the States, and now I'm here. So how it works in New Zealand usually is, and it probably work for you guys when you come over, is lots of guys will get together and they'll rent a house for the weekend. So it'll be like I'll talk about the last tournament we had, which was Masters. We had 13. How many do we have, Fraser? 13 or 14 players?
I think we had 13 players staying in one house.
Yeah, 13 of the Masters players, and there was 20 in the field. 13 of us were in one place.
Yeah.
And so that's usually how we roll, because our tournaments aren't massive, right? Like we can just go rent someone's house or a beach house or whatever it may be for the weekend, and it might cost us 20 or 30 bucks each to rent this place, and we'll all stay together. And it's just like, honestly, it's like you have a massive party for the weekend with your mates, and you play Warhammer during the day if you can be fucked to get up. But so it's really personal. The scene is really personal. You're not going to get a CanCon where there's 200 players, obviously. You're not going to get a Sydney GT where there's 60 players, but you might get 35 players or 40 players, and 15 of them are in the same place, and they're carpooling together, and they're hanging out, and, playing Cards Against Humanity at night, or Munchkin, or they're slapping the goon bag. It's a good time. Like I think that's what it is here. It's not so much like I do this hobby because I want to be the best at the hobby, or I do this because I want to win all the tournaments. Like some guys obviously feel that way, but really I do this because I like to hang out with the boys, and I like to have a boys weekend, and I like to go to it's almost like a fraternity. I don't know if you guys know what those are in the Southern Hemisphere, but it's like, you just get with the boys, you hang out, drink some booze, get some food, play games. You all have things in common, and you just chill, and that's what it really is about.
Yeah,
That's
it's
cool.
like even when we go away and we're not with, like, say when me, Sean, and a few others will travel up to Hamilton to do one of the tournaments there, we still know everyone in that scene. So it's still the exact same experience, since that's how close-knit our community is. And even if we have some of the Auckland boys travel down, we still treat them as if they're that as close as like people that we play with on a weekly basis. So it's just a real close-knit community that treats everyone with like the utmost respect.
Yeah.
You'll be welcomed very, very to a proper Kiwi standard.
Yeah, bro, you'd be a fucking superstar when you come over, guaranteed.
And I have seen, like, I remember, I think Liam and I spoken about the house at the Masters, and the fact that you think of Masters, which is like the top of the top, most competitive, cutthroat at times, yet all of you lads are staying in the same house, which is crazy. So for me, like, you can't really have like a bad game, because this guy might be cooking my food. This guy, like, who knows what's going on, but you guys are all mates. And I think that sounds really interesting and very foreign. I imagine that is unusual for most tournaments.
You can't, like I said, we just recorded a podcast last night for Notorious Age of Sigmar. And one of the points I brought up was that in New Zealand, the scene is so personal. Everyone, and everyone that you see at this tournament is going to be at the next tournament, and the next tournament, and the next one, and the last one before that. You see them every single time. So you build these relationships with them, and sometimes it gets tiresome because, obviously personalities will clash. But for the most part, everyone here, 99% of the guys here are absolutely amazing. And they're not just dudes I play games with, like they're my friends, because I came from another country. I know no one except for the people I work with and the guys I play games with. So these dudes are like my friends, and it's I couldn't ask for better guys to play with. So
yeah. So if let's say hypothetically, I'm somebody watching this stream and I'm really interested in going to New Zealand, and I want to get a part of this community, this bond. How do I get into this community without actually being in it? Like, is there a group? Should I just use Twitter? Should I just rock up and hope to make friends?
So most of the major places have a gaming club. So Wellington, we've got the Freebooters. Palmy's got Praetorians.
Yep.
Auckland has
Yeah,
Model
right.
Citizens. Christchurch, I don't think they have a fancy name for theirs, but I know they have a group. But you can either do that, or we do have the overarching Age of Sigmar New Zealand or Age of Sigmar Wellington pages. So those would be the best ways to get in there. All you have to
Wait,
do,
there's 2 New Zealand pages.
there's one overarching New Zealand page.
Yeah.
And then we've just Aiden has just created one for Wellington. And then there's one for Auckland, one for Christchurch.
Wellington or the lower North Island is where
Yeah.
the majority of the player base is located. So they've created a page that is called Age of Sigmar Wellington, similar to Age of Sigmar Sydney that you guys have. And it's just growing really quickly. There's lots of every single day, you know, like it's a proper page. So those are the 2 pages you should check out. The overarching one, like Fraser mentioned, and the Wellington one.
Sweet. What I was going to say was, when you guys were talking about like everyone hanging out and everything, and like also how your community starts growing, just so you guys know, like I don't know if you guys know about this, but like CanCon, first CanCon started with 50 players, I think it was, right, Magro?
Yeah, we had after dropouts, I think we ended about 48.
Yeah, and then after that, I remember the first interstate tournament that I went to was Brisbane with, I think it was what was it called again? Was it called Bris Vegas?
No, we had BrisCon.
BrisCon, that's right. So we had BrisCon, and I'm pretty sure 16 of the players were New South Wales, wasn't it?
There was 12. I think it was 12. A contingency of 12 of us had come up.
Contingency of 12 of us, and then that's like 12 out of the 30 players. So like we had a similar number to you guys at first, but it's just like I don't know how it grew so much.
In respect, actually, I might rewind you, Liam, because the very first tournament that we had technically interstate travel was the very first RCGT where James Mabry and Chris Welfare had traveled independently to Queensland. They had a great experience. We then had CanCon, then BrisCon came up, and then I think through Chris and through James, that was where I think Jet and Matt and there was a good group of Sydney guys who traveled, and I think that for us, if I reflect on the Australia group, or at least Sydney and Queensland, it came from Sydney going up to BrisCon. Good, we took
most of the trophies.
We took a lot of trophies, and we did very well. I think Brewer, there was a lot of people. Matt, I think there was a lot of good representation.
Yeah.
And I think that started where all of a sudden the Queensland is like, well, if you guys are going to come up and kick our butt, we're going to come back and kick your butt. And I know lots of the master Dave Kerr, and we've had Hayden, and there's all these players have come down to us, and I think that interstate back and forth. And I think you guys coming over is a great example, and hopefully some people will go, well, we're going to go to there and kick your butt, and then you guys, well, we're going to kick your butt, and that friendly.
I'm so excited to come to New Zealand. Yeah.
Well,
go, Seth.
Go ahead. Yeah. Well, a lot of it was for us to go over. A lot of it was to spur this sort of intercontinent country rivalry. Like, we went over to get you guys to come over because we show you that we'll come over and play with you. Because I mean, at the end of the day, we're the little brother, right? We really are. You guys are 4 times larger than us, or 5 times larger than us. So we have to show you that we're willing to play too. So
yeah, and we appreciate that. Like, honestly, and also seeing how you guys play Warhammer is always interesting. And also, you guys have Masters around the same time as we do. Is that right?
Ours was, I think, a week before yours, or maybe the same weekend, wasn't it?
Yeah. No. Ours is always the first weekend of December.
So is ours.
Yeah,
no, but I think we went home. Yeah, we went home and we got it on the laptop.
Yeah, so
we watched
weekend.
it.
Yeah, it was the same weekend, but you guys are obviously ahead of us. So I think you were streaming game 3.
But I always find it interesting comparing the lists and stuff that you guys take over there to what we take, and then seeing you guys come over here and like taking some kind of list. Like, for example, Fraser rocking up with that Nurgle list. I was like, oh shit. He knows what he's doing.
Honestly, hey, if you look at our Tasman team, I came the worst of everyone, and I was 45th. Right?
Yeah.
What place did you finish, Liam?
In what?
In
let's not talk about it. Let's not talk about it. Anyway.
I think it was below 45.
All right, so guys, listen.
Coach, what about you?
95? I think it was 95. I was like right on the middle.
Coach, are you going to own up to it? Where'd you come?
Listen here. First off, you're on my channel, so be quiet. Second of all, we were charitable. Third thing.
No, yes, you were. You were charitable.
Third thing. No, we were charitable to you. We didn't want you to, you guys are coming over, you want to build your brand. The last thing we want is to build a brand that's like, you guys are easy wins. And
you're speaking for every Australian right now. Literally,
I am
every
absolutely
Australian.
on behalf of Australia.
Right.
We were charitable to you. We let you win best sports. We let you guys go really well. We build your confidence up, just like I'm the eldest of like 5 brothers. Actually, 6. I'm 6. Hopefully one of them doesn't watch and knows that I miss them. But you build the confidence up on your little brother. You make them feel good about themselves, and you let them win occasionally. Then when they're confident and they get like a little arrogant and cocky and they start giving you shit, you smack them and you whip them. And I think that's what we're going to do at Notorious GT.
We're waiting for
we've sent our best, Liam.
Let me ask you a question, Coach. Why are you not coming to Notorious GT? Is there a good reason?
Well, I'm going to Adepticon in a couple of weeks, and same reason I'm not going to SAGT. So I think for me to ask the wife, oh, by the way, I'm just going to go to New Zealand as well as I've just come back from America.
Just bring her with you.
It's about timing. It's about, but like for me, like if I think about my hobby goals, going to New Zealand is definitely one. Going to Bendigo and playing with the Measured Boys is definitely one. There's a few others like the Runax. But New Zealand is definitely an event that I would like to go to. Either to go see Lord of the Rings, go see obviously play Sigmar, and also see some of the great city. I've never been to either of Auckland, Wellington, Christchurch. I've never been to either.
Yeah, you don't want to skip Auckland. It's trash.
Straight up, just skip it. Great players. But
So you need to honestly, you need to fly into Hamilton and drive south. That's it. Fly into Hamilton, drive south. You see all of New Zealand. Fuck off.
So here's a secret. I don't drive. I don't drive in the eyes of the law. So I need my wife to drive. So that's where I need to negotiate.
You can catch a bus, man. It's all good.
Busing it. The coach doesn't get a coach.
He does.
No, he gets a train at least.
No, if you flew into Wellington, you could walk from the airport 200 meters and be at Sean Bates's house. So you don't need to worry about busing it anywhere, catching a cab or anything.
Hilarious.
Good.
I don't know what to say.
Well, I know Charles Buck is coming.
You and Charles.
And I'm pretty sure Tom Foldworth is currently in the chat. He goes, "Oh, I'm coming over, Seth. My Saturday CanCon hangover was your fault as much yours was." So we'll see if he decides to come. But yeah, I've been trying to rally the troops. I think there's a few people who are pretty keen to come over.
We'd like to see. I know it's short notice, but we'd like to see as many as we sent over. You know what I mean? That would be cool. 6.
Okay.
We sent 6.
Yeah.
6 with James. We had 6. So the challenge is up, guys. Australia, it's time to step up and
we just need 4 more.
Over. Yeah.
We just need 4 more.
Yeah.
4 more.
We got you and Charles. That's it right now that are paid.
I'll see if we can speak to Brewer, and then you guys can learn how Skaven play.
I think Mitch would have a heart attack.
If Brewer comes over with his Skaven, then it might wreck our entire country. We might just fall into the Pacific.
Well, if Thomas Holdsworth also goes over with his Skaven, we might actually have a null. Is it a null hole? What's the hole called?
Null hole.
We might have a null hole between Auckland and Sydney, and you guys we might teleport very quickly. So,
keen.
If people want to know where to find events for New Zealand, where do you guys post your stuff?
So
Fraser.
most of them get posted on the Age of Sigmar New Zealand community page. There is a Warhammer New Zealand page. I will just figure out what the exact.
And while you do that, Dan AOS Shorts, even though he's dropped off, he's in the chat and he's saying that the FYI 2017 New Zealand Master was a Skaven player. So we might have a Skaven on Skaven grudge. Is that Aiden?
No, his name is Julian.
Was it Skyer?
Yes, it was Scryer.
Yeah, I think it was double Goutfire.
Yeah, it was Goutfire with some gutter runners, which he did amazingly with in one of his games to stop a opponent.
He's a meme. He's a meme here in New Zealand, actually.
He's a meme. Okay.
Yes, he is. He beat his opponent so quickly he went out and did yoga and had an ice cream and ate fish and chips.
Like restaurant fish and chips. We're not talking takeaway fish and chips here, people.
And then came back for his game 2.
I'm also kindly reminded we can find events at aosevents.org and warhammernz.com. Thank you, Dan.
Yeah, I love how Dan's not on here, but he's still promoting his website.
He's probably texting while driving, to be honest with you.
And he can message me later. I'm going to say, Dan, if you're driving, please, we need you alive from our grudge. But I want to bet spiders again. But yeah,
you just don't want to play me. That's all.
I would love to play you, just not spiders.
Will be no spiders on the board. I promise you that.
Especially if you're rocking over dice rolling app.
Look,
yes, I will.
Fast forward. We're not getting into that. I'm not getting any hate mail. If you want to talk about dice apps, go onto Twitter. Liam has been has posted some very thought-provoking content. You go there. Go to Shadowhammer. Not here. But
Seth was ready. Anyways,
always ready.
Wait, what's this about dice rolling apps?
Fast forward.
Fast forwarding. Anyways, I'll see how many more troops I can rally. I do know Nathan was keen, the Space Wolf Stormcast player. He's okay with me calling it that, by the way. So yeah. I know he was pretty keen. So we'll see what else we can. I think we'll just be a Clan Filth hangout with plus Charles.
What? You were a bit muddled. Sorry.
I was going to say, I think I'll see how many more of the Clan Filth guys will come. And plus Charles, the Notorious.
Oh, yeah.
We need 6. We need 6. So maybe maybe you guys can keep a running tally of how many people sign up.
I don't know how to put it like in like smart people terms, but I think that our scene is so small yet so competitive that we're really concentrated. Does that make sense?
You're like orange juice in a little container. You're not like the 2-liter container. You're like a small portion. You put some milk and milk and orange juice, water and orange juice concentrate, and you get bigger.
Yeah, but no water.
Yeah,
there's no water here.
Yeah, the concentrate. You're small and you pack a punch. So don't drink it.
I think so. Yeah. Well, because like our scene is what's the population of Australia right now? 20 million something.
Sure, let's go with that. I have no idea.
Yeah, we're 4 million. We're 4 million, right?
Is that including sheep?
No, it's not.
Double checking.
No, I saw your sheep and they're scraggly as hell. You should be embarrassed about this sheep.
It is that dummy. They're a dummy sheet.
So we're 4.7 million. You guys are 24.6 million.
Yeah. So what's that? 5 times, roughly.
Roughly, yeah.
Yeah. So, what is it? You had 200 at CanCon. If we get 40 at an event here, it's the same. Relatively speaking, right?
That's maths. I can't argue with maths.
Yeah. So, Fraser, how many did you have at CTA?
We had 32 sign up, 28 and ended up. I think it was 26 ended up actually being there due to 2 dropouts on the Friday night.
Love it.
I was there still on Sunday. I didn't drop out.
Nah, you're a legend. Albeit we did get home at like 4 in the morning.
I woke up at 8:05. My game was at 8:15.
After me and Cameron slapping you how many times?
Anyway, But you see the point. Like we're a much smaller population. We're isolated because we're island, but we get 30 people at our tournament. So
to wrap up this segment, I feel like guys and girls definitely consider a New Zealand event on your schedule. I think you will go there, have an amazing time. These boys, all three, both Dan, Seth, and Fraser, have been wonderful representations of the community. And I can only imagine after meeting Lee, after meeting James, after meeting all of the crew, you will go over and have a great time. If people are looking to learn more, in the channel description or in the show description, I have both the Twitter handles, so you can reach out to these guys. Find the Facebook group. So definitely check it out. Put it on your schedule either this year or next year. Make plans. I think you'll really enjoy yourself. Before we start wrapping up, we have Around the Grounds, which is our opportunity to talk about some of the latest content that's been published in our communities, as well as events that might be coming up. So I'll do a quick Round the Grounds. We've had, I don't know if you guys have listened to these yet, but Heralds of War, Failed Charge, Measured Gaming have all put up their CanCon wrap-ups, which have all been fantastic. Have any of you listened to their wrap-ups just yet?
I've listened to some of it. I've been just chopping and changing all of them. They've been good, really good.
Definitely check them out. Mortally Wounded podcast. They've put out 2 podcasts recently. One which has been around from Brant, who's the best painted. They did an episode with Best Painted, as well as James did an interview with Michael Thompson and Matt Tyrrell, all about death. So that was a great podcast. Doom and Darkness on the YouTube side has put up a battle report. So Mixed Chaos versus DOK.
Which is, by the way, a really interesting matchup. Like, Doom's list was quite interesting, and I actually quite liked it. Like, he did a bit of Skaven, a bit of Sinesh, a bit of Beast of Chaos. It was a whole mix of cool stuff. So, really cool. Definitely check it out. Against Collins, Daughters of Cain. Yeah. Which is just filth.
It's beautiful.
He knows it. It's
Cinderfall Gaming, Dadhammer himself had a wonderful interview. I think it was last Saturday with CanCon himself, Alex Cron, who went 5-1 with KO, which was pretty unheard of. I think everyone has been saying Shooting's dead and KO were nerfed in 2 GHBs ago, but Alex really showed why they're still a good army. Liam, you want to say something?
By the way, Dwellers made a podcast as well.
Yep.
Right?
I think
they did one with Rob Symes, Clint, and everyone just after. It got recorded like on the night of CanCon with Dan, who we just had on before.
Yeah.
So they also made that. What else have I seen around the community? I did see a interesting GoFundMe. Did you see that one?
I did. Before we get to the GoFundMe, there was 2 other YouTubes that I saw.
Oh yeah, which was the other 2?
Aussie Wargamer did a monthly chinwag, pretty fun. It's the first time he's done that, so he's always a good laugh. Always got something interesting to say. And Creaky Gamer, so Keith Von Keith, has been putting out some interesting content, some battle reports. He's got like a really cool vampire avatar that's been talking, which is pretty crack. And he put up painting up a chimera tutorial, which was fascinating.
That's cool. I need to check those out.
We recorded an episode last night for Notorious Age of Sigmar about CanCon. I'm not sure when it'll be released, but it was recorded last night. So in the next couple of days, few days, I'd guess. Sean just had surgery this morning, so he had to get his voice box fixed. Not sure what was wrong with it, but yeah, he got a little thing done to it. So in the next few days, I'm sure he's going to be sitting in front of his computer, but in the next few days it'll be up. So
that explains why I've been harassing him for the last 2 weeks to do a faction focused video with him, Nathan Princey, to do Stormcast, and he's been a bit resistant. That explains why.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure we'll retweet it and share it when that comes out. But yeah, I'm just trying to think what else I have seen.
And you said the GoFundMe. Let's talk about the GoFundMe.
Yeah. So pretty much Rob Symes. So if anyone doesn't know, so Rob Symes came to CanCon with help of a GoFundMe, which was raised by the Australian community, which was awesome. And that's a huge help from us. So Rob decided to do the same thing for one of our Aussie legends. So we did one for the UK legend, Rob Symes. So Rob Symes goes, hey, I want Clint, the pretty much, I would say, overlord of Australian Age of Sigmar.
Oh, I don't know. He's Australia's like father. Joel might get upset for calling him an overlord.
No, wait. Joel is the overlord of Measured. That's on his Twitter handle. He's the overlord of Measured.
All right.
But I would say overlord of Australian Sigmar, or the father of Australian Age of Sigmar. So Clint, he wants Clint over to play as Bobo. So there is a GoFundMe. I've retweeted it, so it's on my Twitter. If anyone wants to find it, it's on the Honest Wargaming stuff. Yeah, so I'm literally waiting for my paycheck to come in for this week to literally put in to get Clint over there, because I think Clint deserves a nice little Warhammer nerd holiday, especially the fact that he's already planning CanCon for 2020.
This man, the day after finishing CanCon, is writing up the players pack and ideas for CanCon 2020, and he drove like 13 hours from Canberra to Toowoomba.
Yeah,
300.
Oh, trust me, we're trying 300. It's not working. But so pretty much that's currently going on at the moment. I do know that the UK are super excited to meet Clint. So if anyone wants or feels like Clint deserves that awesome holiday, do go support the GoFundMe. I know Rob Symes would mean a lot. I'm supporting it 100%.
It's been fascinating. I don't know if you guys have seen the backers for that, but there's a bunch of UK people who have actually put in money for Clint. Like I saw Tristan Gray, and there's a whole bunch of them. Like these guys don't know Clint, yet they're putting their money towards getting this guy who's done so much for Australia over.
I think they want to ask him, why do you support Manfred so much? But let's just see what happens.
So, do you guys know that I won a T-shirt from Clint for the what was it? He did a thing on his Facebook page, and it was
yeah.
It was basically put forth your best Sigmar moment of 2018. Right.
Yeah,
and,
I remember that.
And I'll choose some winners, and I won one of the T-shirts. Right. I also won second best sports at CanCon, so I got a voucher for Emerald Hobbies. Is that the name of the place?
Yeah.
Emerald Hobbies. However, they don't ship to New Zealand, right?
Yeah.
So which is fucked, totally. But anyway, I'm gonna spend that voucher this week. Actually, right now. Well, probably when we get off this call, I'll spend the voucher. But I'm going to have my things that I buy shipped to Clint's house, and Clint is going to ship those things along with my T-shirt to me. So you can bet your ass that I'm going to give him $20, or whatever it cost him, whatever the shipping costs or whatever it may be, $20 or $30 or $50. For him to go to the UK, to go to Bobo, because
and I'm sure the UK is going to show him a good time. So yeah,
but that's what it's about, and that's Clint in a microcosm, right? Like that's Clint. That's who Clint is. But he gives himself for me, and he doesn't know me from a bar of soap, right? So why would I not do the same for him?
I remember. I have to say, Clint. If it wasn't for Clint, I wouldn't be a competitive wargamer. I don't know if you agree with me, Magro, but if it wasn't for Clint's events, we probably would not be attending as many events, or even thought about running our own events.
Yeah, look, it's CanCon 2017 was my first competitive tournament, even though I'd been playing Warhammer since 4th edition. So it definitely started, and I think more importantly, it's less about the games; it's more about meeting Liam, yourself, meeting Dan Brewer, Matt Campbell, Jet, meeting so many people who I'm watching on the stream right now who are in the chat. So many of these people I met for the first time, and then obviously the New Zealand guys. So I think before we kind of have these big kumbaya and I think Clint knows we love him. Definitely, if you've got a few hobby dollars, throw some aside towards Clint. Let's get him over there. Let's get him playing in Bobo. If any man deserves to get some hobby love, it's this man who puts out
who knows?
Podcast.
If we put enough money, we may get Dennis or Jim over there with him too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I would.
Like they got Nathan over.
Yeah, I would totally see if we could get one of the other guys, because This is Dennis's second CanCon he did, and he did a killer job. Yeah, those two are like that whole team are machines at running tournaments. I think I met Dennis at the first Australian Masters, right? I had no idea who the hell he was, right? He knew who I was. He goes, "Oh, you're Cranky Lim." I was like, "Oh shit!" And then, yeah, just absolute champ, like legends, and every event that they run, it's smooth sailing.
Yeah.
Well, just look at it like this: like there's 200 players at CanCon, right? You give $10. You give $10. Everyone can spare $10. That's a bloody breakfast one day. Skip breakfast. Give $10. All right. And there's $2,000. There's $2,000. It's a flight.
Done.
It's
everyone chucks in a few dollars. Everyone chucks in a few dollars. If we can put $10 towards it, I think we'll go far away.
It's in pounds. I'm trying to work out how it works in pounds.
It's about 2-to-1 ratio, give or take. Yeah. Give or take. I mean,
I think it's 1.7 at the moment.
Fast forward about 2 months, and maybe Australia will have it'll be 1 to 10, so we'll get like £10 for $1 of ours.
Yeah.
So save up.
Maybe. Yeah.
I obviously don't.
43 days.
Yeah.
Stay tuned.
Exactly. And people I'm looking at the thing right now. I have never heard of any of these people, and I don't know if they've heard of if Clint's heard of them, but there are people dropping in money for him to get them over there, and I think he deserves a break. So that's the thing to shout out. That GoFundMe, go check it out. Support Clint. We'll support Rob Symes. But yeah,
couple of events I want to shout out before maybe I find out any other New Zealand events that maybe people might want to attend. So this weekend in Sydney, we have the Fall of Heroes. So it's not too late to register. It's a 2-day event down in Campbelltown. So definitely check that out, Fall of Heroes. In March, we've got SAGT, which I believe is sold out. So if you want to be going to that, there may be a wait list. Check out Doom and Darkness. In April, we've got GobberCon, we've got Border Wars, we've got BrizCon. So April, there's a lot of events. And then continuing, there's like 2 events in May, events in June. There's so many events coming up, and I think there'll only be more. Townsville, Ipswich.
I got an event every month. I got SAGT, one in New Zealand. Borders War, we have to give Border War a shout out. That's one event that I think.
So we'll be going to Border Wars, which is in Albury, Wodonga. That if I quote Adam Burt, it's food and drink at like 1998 or something. Yeah.
Also, their first prize is like the Aragon sword from Lord of the Rings.
It's a legit sword.
It's a legit sword. So if you're from Victoria, I don't know which state bans swords. If you win it, they do have a backup prize. I have asked Travis. I think they do have a backup prize for the first.
They don't need to. I'm going to win it. I'm going to Adepticon. I'm playing in the team tournament. Then I'm playing in 5 or 6 games in the GT. So I'm going to be gobboed up to my ears, and I'm going to come down 2 weeks later. I'm going to take that sword. I'm going to put it on a Qantas flight, and I have a good conversation with the airport security on why I have a sword.
You're a savage.
That's what's going to happen. But so Borders was happening. I do want to give a shout out to Briz Vegas. I think it's happening on the same weekend. So
BrizCon, different location. I believe it's an upgrade location for a previous event. So that's also going to be good.
Yeah. And already 43 players sold. No, 38 or 40 players sold in less than 24 hours. So good on them. That's if you're around Queensland or you want to make the trip to Queensland. Depends whatever's closer. But check out those 2 events. They're on the same weekend. Anthony and I are going to Borders War. I'm going there because I want to support Travis and Adam, because especially Travis, the fact that he makes terrain pretty much for the Australian community. I just got told BrizCon is sold out.
Yeah, BrizCon, supposedly BrizCon sold out. If you want to go to BrizCon, see if there's a wait list. And then maybe a couple of other quick shout outs. Sydney Slaughter tickets are on sale in Sydney, which is a very awesome event that Chris Welfare and James Mabry might be putting on. I'm not sure of James's involvement, but custom scenarios, really good.
Which just want to let you guys all know, are getting play tested in the next month or so by a play testing team. So yeah.
And then BadgerCon's on the same weekend. So if you can't go to Sydney and you want to go to Victoria, BadgerCon, Joel and the Measured Crew put on a great event. So if you can't come to Sydney, go see the Measured Crew.
And then 2 weeks after, it's Lord of War, which is also sold out.
That's all that.
And there is a waiting list there. And I think that at the moment is the last of events that I know of. I don't know anything past June.
Oh, we've got there's in July there's Ipswich have got an event,
cool.
and the Narrative Cinderfall event. There's Ardfist, there's Bendigo Narrative, the Destruction Only event. There's so many going up, but I think let's just focus on the next couple of months.
Yeah, those are the ones that are currently on our radar.
New Zealand, what have you got? What's on your radar? That's the sales pitch. What
crickets?
Why do we need to fly over the water?
Come on, what do you got? What do you got?
Here comes Killing Fraser. Let's go, Fraser.
Come on, this is the sales pitch. You got all of Australia watching this, every single person.
First off, in April, we have Nationals. I was meant to be TOing it, but due to my relocation down south, we'll be finding someone else to TO. We then also have PineCon. Might be a bit small for you lads, but it would be a good tournament no matter what.
PineCon is hosted by Lee, by the way.
Oh.
Within in Auckland on 17th of March, we've got the Model Citizens, so the Auckland club. They're running a tournament. It is, I believe, a 2,000 points, or they might be doing a weird point of 1,750. 16,000.
16,000.
Sorry, 1,600. I can math.
16,000?
Yeah.
That would be great, right?
Oh,
you'll get one game in a day. And then, Seth, you wanted to plug one of the tournaments?
Yeah. In Wellington in May, 25th and 26th, there will be the Notorious GT at the Upper Hutt Cosy Club, which is a cosmopolitan club for you guys. And I think that equates to like a, what is it? What do you call it in America? Shit, I can't even think of it right now.
When I hear a cosmopolitan club, I think of Cosmo Magazine, which is that under 18 teens magazine.
No, it's like a Cosmo club is like where you go and you pay money.
It's like a Punter's club.
You pay a bit of money and you get cheaper drinks, but they have like a ballroom and shit, and so you think you're in a nice place. Yeah. So it's almost a country club. What we call it in America is a country club.
RSL clubs, Anthony.
Right. Okay.
You know how if you join a membership in like Ashfield Club.
Yeah. So I'm not thinking like when I think of Cosmo, I think of like glamorous and girly and.
I know it's a bit late in the year for you Aussies, but I'll put it forward. There's a dress code. No singlets. No singlets allowed. No thongs allowed. Right? And no board shorts allowed. True story. I'm not making that up.
Seth, what's a thong?
A jandal.
It's not a jandal.
Yeah.
So the other thing I'll just plug in for Round and Ground is so James, who was over at CanCon, he started up a Twitch channel, Freebooters TV. He'll be doing live broadcasts of games. And one of our other community members, Jonathan Ensor, has just started up a podcast that will be focusing on players in our community. It's called Black Comet Radio.
Yes, I subscribed to that today. I can't wait to listen.
Yeah, sweet. Jono has is an actor. He's a thespian, so he has a really great voice, and he's really good for radio. And you'll hear him, and you'll probably masturbate. Honestly. Anyway, I'll finish up with Notorious GT. So rudely interrupted by Fraser. There will be a painting competition with sick prizes. So it's like, come to the tournament, play, right? But you don't have to play for winning. You can play because you want to have the best painted army, and you can win a sweet-ass, real sweet prize. There's also, and I quote the organizer, Sean Bates, narrative shit. So there will be narrative shit there, probably similar to CanCon. I assume that's where you got that from. There also is a pub quiz on the Saturday night hosted by Jono, who is the Black Comet radio guy. So, yeah, we'll have a bunch of cool shit going on there. It'll be the most, proper tournament that New Zealand has had. On terms of a global scale, and it's going to be amazing.
By the way, I'm in your quiz team, yeah?
Yes, you are.
Okay, cool. Sweet. Because I'm not gonna lie, we did a quiz at Sydney Slaughter last year, right? Ran by Welfare, and I'm not gonna lie, that was so much goddamn fun. I loved it. Like, even though I got the most easiest questions wrong, I freaking loved it. But the fact that everyone just like how
Jono will lead it. Jono's gonna run it. He's a thespian, like I said, so he's gonna be great on the mic, and he's like super way into lore, like probably more into lore than a man should be. So it's gonna be good.
I know nothing about lore.
From what I understand, it is more of a lore-based quiz. There may be the occasional gaming question.
Perfect. I'll just be at the bar drinking, and you guys answer the questions for me. Sweet, got that sorted. Brad,
you're on my team. We're in.
Good.
And just a reminder, when are the dates for this?
It's I'm sorry, May 25th and 26th.
Cool.
So late May, all you Aussies, come over, come down. We'll put you up. You don't have to pay a hotel. I'll put that out now. You don't have to buy a hotel. We'll put you up.
All right, you heard it first on Air Coach. You get to stay with the Goon King himself.
Goon King. Sounds good.
And my 3 kids and 2 horses and 13 chickens and dog and cat and partner. You can stay with all of us.
I love that your partner was at the end of that. It's not like
it's inverse. It's inverse because she's the most important one. It's like she runs everything.
So kids are last.
No. I just live here, man. I don't know. Don't ask me important questions.
All right, cool. I'm excited. So hopefully I see some more Aussies tagging along. And I do know, I do know Dan. He hasn't confirmed anything yet, but in future shows with me and Anthony, I will plug when all is confirmed. AOS Shorts might be running an event later this year. Is that correct?
Yeah. This is the rumor.
The
rumor.
I think, and I'm speaking on his behalf, but I think it will be in September timeframe.
Sweet.
If it happens. If it happens.
Cool. If it does happen, you'll hear it here.
Well, so the goal, I think, between Dan and Sean Bates is to have their events 6 months apart.
Yeah.
Right? And at the moment, they're both in their first year, so they may not hit that 6 month the separation. But going forward, there will be a major event in Wellington, a major event in Auckland, 6 months apart. So
I think the date Dan was aiming for was the 31st of August and the 1st of September.
Cool.
Yeah.
But that's just from memory after 3 days of gaming during CanCon, so I'm not too sure what else I can remember.
Long story short, stay tuned. Check out AOS Shorts. You've got plenty of events up.
But so much content to read.
Put a New Zealand event in your diary. I feel like I'm just repeating myself, but just it's going to be great. I'm going to try to get to an event. If it's not this year, it's next year. Maybe you just need enough time between the Adepticon. So maybe AOS Shorts event. But if not, I'm looking forward to it. Any final plugs you guys want to? Any final plugs? Anything? Any shout outs you want to make before we kind of wrap this up? I know we're getting late in Kiwi Town, and I'm sure anyone who has a partner wants you to get into bed at a reasonable time. Valentine's Day is tomorrow.
Mate, I'm off to the local after this.
To find a partner?
No.
All right. Any other shout outs you want to give? Even your wives, your partners, your boyfriends, your dog, any shouts?
Yes. I love my partner. Her name is Sarah Rutledge. I love her. She's the best. She's confined me to this small corner in the kitchen right now. That's where I am. But seriously, I honestly want to give a shout out to my main boy here in Palmy, who taught me how to play Warhammer, and who made me who I am right now. His name is Sean Tubman. He's a New Zealand master, and he's the pride of Palmerston North.
And if we're listening to the podcast, is he Big Sean or Little Sean?
He is Little Sean.
Little Sean.
Because there's a running joke that Big Sean and Little Sean, but Little Sean is Big Sean. Or there's some-
Little Sean is Big Sean.
So you met Big Sean, Coach. You
Yes.
met Big Sean. Yes.
But there's also Big Sean, like Muscle Sean.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
Little
he's
Sean.
like he's Little Sean, but he's like muscular. He's like Dino Matthews.
Oh,
Right.
Dino's the Hulk. He's massive.
Yeah. So he's like Dino, but like he wins everything. No offense to Dino, because Dino plays destruction. He's a sick cunt.
Also, he played really well with that list.
Fuck yeah, he did better than me. He's great. So
All right, so that's a good shout. Fraser, any other shouts that you want to make?
I'll just give a shout out to Sloan. He's one of the boys that's done a lot of my painting. So Sloan
I follow
Ranger
him on
Studios.
Twitter.
Yeah, he does some amazing work.
And also, I met him. He came and visited my local store, and he saw me working
That's
on my
right,
dresses. And we were talking. Yeah, he's a ledge.
Another one is Bo. He's the one that designed our shirts. He's also done a bit of painting for me in the past. And also Regan. I cannot pronounce his Instagram name for the love of me, but I think it's Pyro Paint Studios. Pyrow.
yes, yep, you did it right.
But yeah, I'll just
Good
give a
shout
shout
to
out
those
to those boys because they're amazing painters, and they're the ones that you guys are going to have to watch out for hobby goals. So I want you guys to be bringing your A game.
Yeah, I just do stupid conversions and hope for the best. Yeah, sweet.
Get all the things at 50% off and do what you can with them.
Love it. And I've got a sneaky phone conversation happening right here. Ken Van Schip, who's listening in, I think he might be in America at the moment for work, is saying that he's keen to come to Border War. So let us know if you're coming to events. Let us know where you're going to be. I think it's going to be awesome. Not just Ken, but everyone. If people want to talk more to either of you crew, where can they find you? Fraser, where can people talk to you more?
So easiest is Facebook because I actually get notifications, or Instagram where my tag is Fraser_Nero, or Twitter where it's Two Wolf Studio. Yeah, Two Wolf Studio. Any of those things, just flick me a message. The moment I see it, I'll reply.
Awesome. And Goon King,
Good boss.
you're the king. You're the king to me.
Shit, yeah, boy. Hit me on Twitter at the number Sneaky Stabba with an A. One Sneaky Stabba. That's me.
Luckily,
I get
I put both their Twitter descriptions down below in the description. So
Thank you, sir. You're a legend.
You know, I just realized you put me down as the villain. You say the coach Anthony and the villain.
have I put your name, Liam?
In brackets, Liam, yeah. But like, it goes the coach, bracket Anthony, and the villain, bracket Liam. Like, not going Liam, bracket villain. Thanks.
This is what it is, bro.
I'm pretty sure
I
you
still think-
brought up that New Zealand needed a villain. So you're
Hey, you get in where you fit in, bro.
We've got our villain. He's our residential rainmaker.
Can I just say, Seth, what did you say to me before our game started? There was an interesting conversation we had where apparently, can you explain to me what the conversation was again?
The conversation went like this. I said, hey, Liam, I hope our game is good because everything I've heard about you has not been good.
And then-
I'm making it PG. I said it much worse than that.
It's actually dialing it down.
Yeah, I said, hey, man, everyone on the internet thinks you're a dickhead. Please don't be a dickhead. I'm scared of this game. I just want to have a good game. And you said, okay, man, cool. And we had a game, and you beat me in turn 1, and it was a good game. Because you're not a dickhead. Imagine that.
Were you shocked?
No, really, I wasn't.
Okay, cool, good.
And to add further to this story, Liam had played Beth, the 12-year-old girl, at round 1, The Grudge. I got to play her game 2. And in between games, people were whispering, they're like, oh, I heard Liam grudged a 12-year-old girl to get a win. Is that true? I'm like, nah. Like Liam, for the record, is that true? Did you grudge a child to get an easy victory?
In all honesty, though, I grudge Seth because
that's true. Yes, it's true.
Seth in the past, in lots of events, has given me so much sass. And I remember at Cine GT at your event, Anthony, she goes, "I want to grudge you." And I was just like, good joke. I don't think that's a good idea. And then we actually did the grudge. And one part of me was just to be like, hey, I just want to play a nice casual game. Also, I want to see her Seraphon army up close. I want to see how sassy she gets during a game. And by the way, and Anthony, you know this, she's quite sassy.
She is very sassy. She was giving you lip on the Road to CanCon series. So
she was giving me, she literally said I act like a 3-year-old child during our game.
Was she wrong?
No, she was totally not wrong. But the main reason why I went for a grudge was how can I word this? Was I kind of did it just so her first game was with someone that she knew. It makes sense. Like, it wasn't a daunting experience for her. Like, imagine a 12-year-old child turning up to an event. I don't know if like her father's gonna watch this, but a 12-year-old event with 20 players, like most of them are strangers to her. She turns up she's already scared coming to this event most likely. So turning up to an event with a friendly face like me, I would say friendly, but like she knows who I am. And hey, she wanted to play with her dinosaurs, and I was like, go kill things with your dinosaurs, go for it. And that was it. Like, the main reason for the game was so she had a friendly face round one that she can like take her time with her army, learn her army, and not be as scared. Does that make sense?
No, you're a charitable man. You are
she got to play you. Another face that she knew.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, to be honest with you, I've been keeping an eye on the chat. Nobody has disagreed that you are that you're not a humble, charitable, friendly, popular face. So
you're getting a bit too far now.
Yeah, and actually, I got to call this one out. Thomas Holdsworth has just put out a cracking comment. He said, "Mate, look at her dad. She ain't scared of no man." Mr. Bigwood is the friendliest, scariest dude I've met ever.
Coach, you'll say this. I'm a scary looking dude. I wouldn't fuck with Mr. Bigwood, personally.
Nah, wouldn't.
Nope.
Nah. By the way, and again, Beth is the first professional Australian Age of Sigma player. She got paid.
She did. She got $10 for beating me, so she is technically professional. She's more professional than I am.
Wasn't the Tasmanian Devil as well? The guy that was making the fruit tingles.
Randy? What about Randy?
Oh, Randy!
I just remember someone mentioning that he was also getting the same thing. I'm not sure if it was true.
Wait, Randy was getting paid to win?
We'll have to find that out. We'll have to get.
That changes the game. That changes the game if Randy.
I do remember
if Randy gets paid to win.
I do remember our conversation on Friday.
I love how Fraser has an audience right now.
Fraser's got somebody watching. He wants to be internet famous. He's eating like a pie or something.
I don't know what Carl's doing.
Who is this guy in the background? Look at him. He's like,
Kyle, I can't tell what to say, but I just remember Liam on Friday. He started panicking. You started panicking about Biff's list because you had no clue what it did.
Oh, yeah, I remember that Friday night. I was like, what is Beth's list? And I was talking to Seth and Fraser. And then I was like, guys, what does this do? And they're like, I'm actually so much better. I'm like, I actually might lose this.
Yeah. And I was going to crack up so much if you did.
I think we might have to end the stream right now on a high. I don't know if I could beat that. That was pretty good.
Oh, so good.
Boys, this has been an absolute pleasure. I'm so glad that I got to play you guys. I guess I could probably speak on behalf of Liam that we got to play the Transtasman Cup, that we got to stay at the amazing accommodation, and you were our bunk mates essentially being across from each other. It was great to get to know you guys. Seth, I've seen you in the Moon Clan / Gloomspite chat, and you guys have been nothing but brilliant and absolute champions. And I hope our relationship fosters as both countries kind of come together more often. So thank you for coming, for both you guys. For Dan, and hopefully we can kind of keep building this bridge and get more of you guys familiar to our community.
That's the goal, right?
Sounds
To
good.
build a bridge. Build a bridge.
And we'll get
Let's come
over
across.
with more trophies.
I believe it's like a coffee step.
Gonna
Like if
go
you
there.
win 3 tournaments, you get a free visa. You get to
sounds good.
stay.
Oh shit! I love you guys.
Love you
All right,
too.
guys. Thank you very much. I'm going to bed. My wife's probably going to kick me in the butt. She's like, "Oh, you
Yeah, boy.
Valentine's Day stuff," but it's a pleasure. Say hello to your loved ones, whether it's a pet, whether it's your family, whether it's your partner. Looking forward to Dan's reviews on AOS Shorts on Flesh Eaters and Skaven, and looking forward to seeing you Kiwis at future events. And Liam, make friends when you're over there, not enemies, please.
I will.
Make frenemies.
I got Seth and Fraser to keep me back. It'll be sweet.
You're good, dude. If you love Goon and you love hookers, we got you.
All right, guys, and Fraser, say hello to your friends.
Yeah,
the
I'm off
dancing
to the
friends
local.
at the back.
And friends. You have to love friends. Yes.
All right, guys,
Yes.
we'll talk to you next fortnight. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Enjoy the rest of
Yeah.
your week. Happy hobby.
Yeah, see you, boys.
Enjoy.
Thank you. Yep.